Margaret.
Hey. Oh, good. It's working.
Just waiting for everybody else to join in.
This says it's live, so that means it's recording, right? It's so different from how it
Yeah.
used to be. Okay.
And I used to use the broadcast all the time for my other classes. It was so easy.
Yep. I used to do it.
Hello.
Hello. Hi,
Hey.
Zane.
How you guys doing?
I'm a little frazzled. How are you?
About the same, yeah.
That was a lot of reading for this one. It's a lot more
Yeah.
than last time, I thought.
Reading and videos. Although I'm a big Office fan, so seeing the Office clip was
Oh, that
pretty
was
fun.
funny. I remember that episode.
Yeah.
If that ever happened in real life, I would be mortified.
Oh my gosh. Well, The Office was all about things that it was just too embarrassing. You just felt embarrassed to watch him doing those things.
My job that I just left, I actually worked with my brother and we did all the safety and health training, and so occasionally we'd sneak in an Office video clip.
As to what not to do?
Yeah. I think our favorite was the fire one when Mike started a fire in the office. But,
Oh man.
Yeah. So you guys got the invite, okay? What I couldn't figure out, Vanessa,
Yeah.
because I was testing it earlier with my husband while he was at the office, see if I knew how to do it. And does it let you access it when I click go live, or does it let you access it when I invite people without going live? Do you know?
So you're asking access, like how exactly?
Like I clicked on the thing that says start, the conversation, whatever. I don't know what it says. And then it gives you the option to invite, and then you can go live.
you can invite people and have everybody start and then go live.
Go live. Okay.
Yeah, you can be off air at first, and then when you go live, basically that's when it's starting the recording.
So if I were to push stop broadcast now, it would just start recording, but we would still be talking, or would that hang up the call?
I think it would just stop recording, and then we can still keep talking, unless everybody leaves the call. Then.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
When if I
Yeah,
need.
I'm not sure on that one. I think
Or
it's
we
probably
can.
right. Stop recording.
I'm going
That's
to.
how it used to be, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Before you could just.
Yeah. It scares me now because I don't know.
I say you're already live. Just go ahead and leave it, and then as people join, we can.
There's somebody else join. I'm gonna send the invitation again just in case. Because everybody replied with their address, so they were all.
How's your son?
Well, my husband took him. He didn't seem to be in too much pain.
How old is he?
He's 2.5.
Oh.
First set of stitches.
Yeah, at least you won't remember it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. How old are your kids, Zane?
I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 8-month-old.
Oh, they're really young.
Yeah. They're fun, though. They're good.
I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Oh man.
At least I have built-in babysitters.
Yeah, that my
A nice day when that happens.
yeah, my sister-in-law
I'm
has
looking
that with her
forward to
kids,
that.
and
I'm so looking forward to that.
It is really nice. So how many of us is there? 6, huh?
I think 6. And I think I'm just kind of jumping, the gun here a little bit, but I'm sure we're going to talk in more detail. I think we could just work in pairs for the doohickeys problem.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Okay, it's Eric, Melanie, and Susan are on a video call together. Is anyone else joining?
Well,
Why are they on a video?
well, hang up.
Okay, let's see.
Join Meredith's
And Melanie,
call.
another.
join our call.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I
funny.
think I screwed that up by I sent out a call on accident, and so then they joined my call. And
Oh, that's what happened. Because I'm like, we were all online, so how did we lose?
yeah, so they should be joining here pretty soon.
Yeah, I just
Hopefully.
sent another invite, so hopefully then. Okay, that's a great idea to work in pairs. Hi, Melanie and Susan. Oh, good, everybody's here.
Hello.
All right. So let's get right to business. Vanessa had an idea for the doohickeys. Do you want to go ahead? Vanessa?
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I was thinking that for the doohickeys problem, we could probably split, into pairs and work together in pairs. And each, I believe we have to find how many issues, like 3 or 4.
3 problems with 4 solutions for each.
So 3 problems. So that's perfect because, we're 6. So then each pair will work on 1 problem in the 4 solutions, and that is split evenly also, with the pairs. Like if I work with Margaret, for example, I can work with her on 1 problem, find 2 solutions, and she can find 2 solutions. We can brainstorm together. Anyways, you guys probably thought the same thing, and probably this is not like a, brilliant idea. But I think we could maybe start from there and see what you guys think.
Well, I was looking through kind of the list. I'll volunteer to do the sexual harassment one if anyone wants to join me on that.
I'll join you with that.
Okay. All right, so that's 1 problem. So we need 2 more problems. And the other topics that we've covered are...
Was that Vanessa that volunteered?
Yes.
And nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone.
So I'll volunteer to do
I'm easy
equal
to work with.
opportunity,
Sorry.
Diversity problem. Who will join me on that?
Sure, I will.
Okay. Thanks, Susan. So we'll do equal. So I guess you guys can do the... Zane and Eric, are you guys okay doing the... What is the other topic or problem? Is it teamwork, performance, or whatever the topic was for week 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, great. So then you guys
Although I'm
are
being very diverse here by separating into guys and girl groups. I mean, I don't think we're following along very good.
with the diversity. Yeah, that's it. We will mix it up for the next one. How about that?
I think it would be good for us to have an opportunity to work with each other anyways. So definitely in the upcoming doohickeys, we should swap out.
No, we won't have the same pairs. So yeah, we'll have opportunity to work together. Okay, great. Now, anybody wants to volunteer for being in charge next week?
I will have my kids next week, and it'll be crazy busy with some things they've got going on. So I'll volunteer for the week after.
So next week is week 5, right?
Yes. So it'll
So
be the
whoever signs up for week 5, so needs to be in charge of, you know, editing the final paper and making sure that it's delivered at the due date. So if so just keep that in mind. If you guys are good editors, we can use your skills.
When
And
is the due date? Because I didn't see like an actual place where you were supposed to submit it.
I think it's the Monday after, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the Monday after the end of week 5,
Next week,
because yeah,
Right.
he usually, Mondays are usually the end of that week.
And
So
And you
not
don't
next
have to-
Monday, but the following Monday.
and it's at 8 a.m., right? Or is
Yeah.
it?
yeah, it
Yeah.
really needs to
And
be
so
done.
you
by
know,
Saturday.
I might be having my baby then.
Right.
So then that's why I volunteered last week.
Mm-hmm.
So then I will be trying to work ahead on a lot of my classes. So I'll just Melanie, I'll just make sure that you know that I'll be, you know, trying to do things as early as possible. So, you know, to help you too.
And the person that's doing the paper, you're not doing it on your own. I mean, we can all help
No.
with the editing. You know, I mean,
My-
Google Docs, we can all work out on that.
Exactly.
My thing just bleeped out. I didn't hear any of that. But if no one volunteered, I'll do it next
Oh,
week.
great.
If no one else did, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just said you don't have to do it on your own. With Google Docs or something, we can all work in the editing. And,
Absolutely.
Exactly. We'll all pitch in and make comments on Google
Okay.
Docs. I mean, it's easy to kind of give feedback, quick feedback.
My biggest request for me being the group leader, it would be really helpful if someone could actually start the call for me. Because I don't know why, but my camera and my microphone is out on my computer and I can't start like a live Google Hangout on my iPad.
yeah, we figured that out last week.
Someone can do that for me.
I'm happy
That'd
to
be
do
great.
it. I'm happy to do that. That's no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah.
are we meeting Tuesday or Wednesday next week?
Tuesdays
I
are
still
fine.
prefer Tuesday if we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another group that meets on Wednesdays at this time, so Tuesday's better for me.
Okay.
Sounds
I'm
good.
good. I'm good with
Tuesdays
that
work
too.
for me
Okay.
too, so.
Okay.
All right. I'll plan on that for next week then, Tuesday at 9, and then we'll definitely talk about our papers. So
Do you guys think we need any emails to remind each other of the topics we'll be working on for the doohickeys? Who's the leader next week and the following week? Do you think that's necessary, or you guys already have that down?
I've got it down, but it might be good to just send out an email as a reminder to everyone.
Or even just hangout, whatever text thing that everybody
Right, yes.
is okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, you wrote it down, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to help? Oh, okay. Because if you
I can do it. I can send a reminder. I don't know. What do you want me to send it Friday so that people are working on their?
or even after this call, just kind of, you know, posting on the hangouts, and then everybody knows who's working on what, and then we can help each other if it needs be.
Right.
Okay, so since we split that up, I think that's it for Doohickeys discussion, right?
Mhm.
All right. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions to ask you guys about. Did you all have the opportunity to read the Making Difference Matter?
Mhm.
Wonderful. Okay, so can one of you or all of you explain the 3 diversity paradigms? Can somebody explain to me what assimilation is?
Yeah, that's where you
We can take turns.
be the same thing. There's no differences between anybody, everybody. Yeah, there's just no differences. Everybody's the same.
Yeah, it's kind of like colorblind in a way, or trying to be colorblind in a way.
Yeah. So they do try to diversify, but they want them to be the same anyway. So
Yeah,
like
probably in numbers, they try to diversify it in numbers, like bringing people and meeting certain quotas or whatever. But they don't really, yeah, think beyond that, beyond reaching that numerical goal.
Very good. Okay, how about differentiation?
That's kind of the opposite. Instead of, it's like they just hire people for their diversity, which is good, but then they only use them for like certain niches, and it's almost like they just assume, oh, because you're Mexican, you're going to understand the whole Mexican culture, and we're going to just have you work with that clientele, and they're not asking them to, like, you know, help with other things in the business.
Which is a smart start. It's a smart first step, but then it limits what that person with that different background and different perspective can bring to the organization as a whole. So you kind of use them for their skills or ability to connect with that, like you said, like the Mexican community or any other community. But then you, at the same time, you lose, you know, beyond that, you lose the ability to incorporate that different mentality or perspective into your business. And that's kind of a waste of talent.
Right, that's just looking narrow-mindedly and actually being kind of prejudiced against that person, thinking that's the only thing they can contribute, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow them to grow and explore experiences in other areas.
Right. Okay, very good. How about the last one, integration?
That's the ideal, right? That's where you use, you know, you actually implement that or use that person's skills, abilities, especially the different background and experiences that person has, to improve your business, to think beyond, you know, how, yeah, to include that person, you know, wholly or holistically into the business. And that's the ideal, for leadership to do. And that's hard, because then you have to kind of like, it reminds me of the, going back to that video with, is it Melody?
Uh-huh.
And then how she explains that it's hard to kind of truly integrate in a way, because you have to face tough questions, racial questions, or, you know, you know, you put that on the table. You don't just hide anymore. You're kind of blind brave in a way. And when you integrate, you know, diversity into your business, completely integration, you are bound to have those difficult situations where race might be on the table, or diversity, or gender, or, you know, sexual preference, or whatever it is, whatever, you know, you're bound to have to face those issues a little more openly, if you really truly want to integrate those people into your business.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit tricky. Because I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, and then I'll express what I was just thinking. Have any of you worked at a place that you saw this, either any of these paradigms happening? Do you have any experiences with that?
I'm talking too much, so I'll just wait.
I worked at a restaurant, and like, I mean, this was back in high school, but I was a waitress at this restaurant, and I mean, it was pretty separate. Like, there were only Mexican, they were really hard workers.
And where did they work? Were they in the back?
Yeah, they were always in the back, like, you know, being the salad bar girls or washing dishes. You know, they were never out talking to people and, you know, making like the actual good money out there being a server.
Right.
Was
So
it
that's a bad
because they
example.
needed it in their English, or?
A lot of it was their English, and I think it was already that there was such a large majority that didn't speak English, so they were already being the busboys or the salad girls, and I think the managers were just like, oh, you can just go be with everyone else, and so I don't think they were ever really given an opportunity to, I don't know, be a server or a waitress.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a poor example for you.
I wouldn't say it's a poor example. I had a similar example working both at Marie Callender's and Denny's in high school and college. Certainly, you want staff members that can communicate with your clientele, with your patronage, and if you do have those that are English as a second language, and their English is really, really broken, or they're not comfortable speaking in English, you certainly can't have, I don't want to say can't have, but they can't communicate with the
Customers.
with the customers.
Some people get really uncomfortable with people with accents. I have
Mhm.
experience.
And then I know from experience, one of my good friends is from Mexico, and she had started doing a English as a second language course through the library. And one of the things that she wanted to work with me was to be able to talk back and forth, specifically in English. Obviously, I don't want to say obviously, I do not speak Spanish, though I would love to be able to. And she would only speak English with me. She felt very uncomfortable even speaking with her husband, who was pretty fluent in both English and Spanish. So there's levels of uncomfortableness for the potential employee as well, unfortunately.
No.
I used to work for a cell phone company as a sales representative, and it was really cool because we actually would have quite a diverse group of staff, and it'd be funny because you would notice certain customers would go to certain representatives. But then kind of in the integration side, we had a lot of people who would go to certain reps, even if they weren't, for example, you'd think we had one guy that just worked really well with a certain group of customers, and there was a population of them in our area, and he wasn't of the same nationality or anything, but because he worked really well with them, they started sending all their friends and family that they knew to him, and so it was kind of cool. He wasn't really part of their group, but because he could communicate well with them, he ended up making lots of sales and stuff off that community because they liked him and trusted him and referred him.
Thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. That reminds me of an experience I had. I used to work for Nu Skin, and they had a big convention, and they had people from all over the world coming. And of course, I volunteered because I speak Spanish, but they had lots of Spanish speakers, so they didn't really need me for that. But then there was this one Japanese girl, and she had lost something, and nobody could communicate with her. But I could, even though I didn't speak Japanese, because I think, having been in the position where at one point I couldn't communicate in English, we could just do enough hand gestures and feel comfortable just looking silly and just trying to understand and communicate without actually using spoken language.
Right.
I thought that was an interesting thing that I could bring in, even though it wasn't the same language. Just by having that experience, I can communicate with people that don't speak English as well.
So reading the Office cookie scene sadly reminded me of one of my ex's experiences. He used to be a state trooper, and one of the senior guys on his troop or in his troop anytime he tried to speak to someone of Spanish descent, Hispanic or Mexican, all he would do would be add an O to the end of an English word, like licenso or, something along those lines. And the troopers are actually put through some basic Spanish so that they can communicate with those who are not native to the country. And just sad. I mean, just not even an attempt to utilize this training that he's received. Let's just add an O or an A to an English word and expect the person that you're talking to be able to understand it.
Yeah, a little disrespectful. Okay, so moving on to the next part. It's about the video. Melody Hobson says color blindness is dangerous. Do you agree? And is she making a point similar to the one made by the authors of making a difference matter? Making differences matter, sorry.
Could you repeat the question? I
Yes.
just
Yes.
had to step away.
Why is color blindness dangerous? Or do you think color blindness is dangerous?
I think Vanessa already kind of said this when we were talking about assimilation, that it's similar to color blindness, that, I mean, when you just put a whole bunch of people together and just say, okay, you're all different races or religion and everything, but now go act the same and be the same and everyone's equal, that can be kind of dangerous and messy.
And it's very limiting. It's very limiting to the group of people you work with to just expect that everybody's going to behave or think the same way. I mean, it might work for the Army because they need uniformity, and they need to have that people to behave a certain way under certain circumstances, like battles and wars and stuff. But
Right.
outside of that, I don't really see how that can be a positive thing, to just pretend everybody needs to, be the same, basically.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, you might as well just have a bunch of robots working for you, because if that personality isn't there, or like those differences aren't there, then I just don't think, I think it is very dangerous, to answer the question. I don't think it's a good thing at all,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
So the next question is exactly, we already said it, that we all, or some of us think that color blindness is the same thing as the fairness assimilation paradigm. The same mistakes. Okay, I think we've talked about the next thing either. So what do you think Hobson means about being color gray? What do you think it would look like in the workplace? What does it mean to be color gray? Could you associate it with one of the paradigms, and maybe that help you explain it a little bit? Which paradigm do you think it goes with?
I think sometimes we get a little nervous about asking people about their culture and their personality themselves, their religion, all those things, because especially in the workplace, sometimes it feels a little taboo. You don't want to step on any toes. You don't want to hurt any
Offend them.
in the wrong. So I think just even being comfortable enough to ask questions in a nice way, obviously not rude or anything, but asking honest questions about someone's race, religion, culture, and being willing to share about your own.
Yeah, I think that's why the brave part comes in. You need to get past that. We all talk about being politically correct, and it just seems like we need to just think everyone is equal, but we're not. We need to celebrate those differences and be brave. But it is scary. Like, that's what I was thinking about earlier. I was thinking, I don't know, if there's a colored person at work and I want to, No, I watched the video one time, and it was this woman, and she looked Asian. And so this guy is running past her, and he asked her, "Oh, where are you from?" And she's like, "I'm American." And he's like, "Yeah, but where are you really from?" You know? And she's like, "Well, my parents are Korean." And then he starts going on and on about Korea, and he's like offended because she's American. So it's a fine line. What do you think about that?
Well, I would find myself doing stupid things in relation to ethnicity. Just maybe I don't want to say stupid, assuming certain things. One of my mechanics, his name is Arthur Rodriguez, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that in a true Hispanic way. I honestly presumed that he was first generation American, not second or third or even fourth generation American. So I asked him where he's from, and he's like, "I'm American. I'm from Denver." And I fixed it a little bit. Okay, so where's your ancestry from? You know, and we've talked very openly about his parents and how he's very conservative, definite staunch Republican, and he appreciates immigration done in the right way, but he also feels that those who come to America should learn English, and that we shouldn't be adjusting our society to be able to assimilate them into. And sorry, this is me going on a bit of a tangent, but so we've had open conversations about different beliefs and things like that. I'm grateful that my little faux pas initially has opened up the opportunity to talk about his experiences as a Mexican American, and his parents' experiences and their beliefs, and how their beliefs have impacted his beliefs, and how his beliefs have impacted his kids.
Susan, you would be surprised how many people, especially foreigners or immigrants that came here legally and started everything legally, or actually agree with your friend
Right.
point of view. I am one. I don't, just exactly that. I've always said that that they should learn the language. They should try to adapt. They should try to understand that it's like going to a person's house and you're a guest, and you're gonna, of course you don't have to stop being who you are or forget about your identity or background, but you do have to understand that you willingly chose to, to live in a place where people have different cultures and different ways of life, or etc., different
Right.
language. So you do have to make an effort to be part of that community. I'm very outspoken about that, and because I am Latin, I usually have it feels like people agree with me. Let's say the Americans agree with me, but they are never the ones to really say that because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody.
Right.
It's like I have a free card to kind of open up and say what I'm thinking, But just on being color brave a little bit, just quickly, my thoughts on that. I think it also goes, it's also us trying to lose the stereotypes that we all have ingrained in our brains about the Asians, about the Africans, about the Arabs, about the Muslims, or whatever it is, and actually giving the opportunity for those people to flourish too, especially if we are ever in the leadership management or management positions. For example, we were talking about accents earlier on, and people with that have accents like me and other people, we do feel sometimes, especially in the sales world, or if you're having to deal with people, sometimes you feel like as soon as they notice my accent, that
Right.
connection is going to be closed. Like it's going to be done. So we already have that fear of really showing our potential, because we feel like we're not going to be able to show that potential because there's going to be a stereotype. There's going to say, I'm not paying attention to what you're saying anymore because I hear an accent. Now I want to know where you're from. I haven't heard anything that you've said. I just want to know, where you're from, and So in offices sometimes, and in the corporate, it's one barrier that the diversity sometimes, for immigrants especially, it stops because you're immediately judged. Your IQ, this is me speaking, okay? Sometimes many times I felt like my IQ or my potential is being judged by how thick or not, or how good my accent really is, and it stops right there. So I'm
Right.
like, man, I missed the Vanessa that lived in Brazil, because back there I was like the bomb. Like everybody just thought I was great. Like saw this, yeah, all these talents and all these skills and all these abilities. And then when I, since I've been here and I've worked before, I stopped working after I had my kids, but while I was working, I've never felt prejudice. I'm not saying that I've ever felt prejudice, but I felt that my potential was being judged by how well I could actually speak the language. So and I know it's a two-edged sword. I understand that, but that's just my perspective, from being an immigrant in a way.
Right.
I know. I like to just get it out of the way so they stop looking at me like, okay, I've got all the answers, where I'm from, all this stuff, and now just look at me as another human being, which is also kind of tricky because I don't want to be also as we're all the same. Yes, I am different, but I'm different in not the way you think. I'm not as smart.
Yeah. It gets a little tiring to be the exotic all the time, especially the Brazilians. They're like, "Oh, you must love samba. You must love." Like, no, I grew up listening to rock and roll. Like, it's just it. No, it was never my thing. Or you must be like a party animal. I'm like, no, dude. I am a day person. I go to bed early. No, you know what I mean. So, especially the Brazilian women, there's like stereotypes that, and it's not anybody else's fault because they feed that. I mean, Brazilians feed that to people. That's how they advertise themselves most of the time. The carnival, this and that. I'm like, carnival, we would be sent to, like, the youth camps. That's when we have our LDS youth camps, is during carnival. I've never been to carnival. I don't even listen to samba. I hate samba. You know what I mean?
Okay, I need to ask you guys if any of you have ever been in a team, group, or organization where one person's ideas or approach to doing work was hard for the rest of the group to understand because of a difference in background, experience, gender, race, or something else. So take a minute and think about if you've ever been in a group where it was hard to accept someone's ideas because of their background or race or experience or anything. I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I have one
Okay.
that I just thought of.
Eric, can you turn up your microphone, or is there? I don't know if
Can you
there's
not
somebody you
hear
could
me
do
at
that.
all?
No,
Yeah,
you
we
kinda
can hear you,
go-
but not very loud.
That's
Okay,
why I
let me-
had to pull my screen up to me.
Okay, let me grab some.
Now you're mute.
I guess thinking a bit more about it, my ex and I owned a landscape company, and the work ethic that we received from our Latin employees versus our Caucasian employees was tremendously greater in value, I have to say. And there were some Caucasian employees that did not work well with those that were Latin, didn't trust them, didn't want to try to communicate with them. And those specific Caucasian employees were very difficult to work with and even value because of the way that they treated employees that were basically family. That's the only thing that I can think of as far as dealing with how someone's mentalities can be difficult to deal with.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me better?
Not really. I'll just turn my volume up.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. So the example that I was thinking of was I was doing an internship with a guy, and he was about 30, 31 years old, something like that, and he wasn't married. I want to be careful on how I say this because, like, he was a really good guy, but because he wasn't married and just, like, his background, I felt like he could just work us to the ground. We were working, like, 11, 12-hour days just because he didn't have any other life other than work, and yet, like, there was me and a couple other guys where we were going to school and we had a family and everything, and he just could not relate to us when it came to that kind of stuff. And so it was just kind of really difficult because he wasn't seeing like what we were having to deal with, but we weren't really seeing how he was either, if that makes sense. But I don't know if you could even hear any of that, but that's
Yeah.
the example that I could think of.
No, that's a great example, I think, because that is a different background of someone that's single and can understand people that have a life outside of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is definitely a different background. And I think for people that have lived outside of Utah, let's see, is anybody from Utah in our group? I know that Vanessa lives in Utah, but she's not from Utah.
I just wanted to say one thing real quick, and I hope this doesn't sound the wrong way, but it's not that I'm trying to correct anything, but there is a difference between Hispanic and Latin. These are two different ethnicities.
Right.
You can be both.
Absolutely. I know
You can
that.
be both. And Caucasian, and is a race. It's not our ethnicity. Like Margaret, you look at her and she's like Caucasian, but she's Hispanic, given her background. I'm Caucasian, but I'm Latin. I'm not Hispanic. So I know it's confusing, but it matters if you guys know it. It makes us feel good.
Thank you.
Right, Margaret?
Sure. I'm always get confused by that question when I'm filling out the paperwork.
Too, because it usually just goes into one big, like, it's one big checkbox, and it has all of it as if it's all the same. It's not.
I'm always confused at the doctor's office because you have to fill that ethnicity thing every time.
All the time, yeah. I don't even know what my kids are. I just wish they had mutt.
That's right. What are they, right?
Mutt. Anyways.
That's funny. Well, anyway. My kids, my two oldest are adopted, so then I'm really confused. Like, well, but their race is white because their parents are both, but I don't, anyway, that gets even more complicated.
Well, it's just a race and ethnicity. It's like, it gets people confused and it's used interchangeably, but it's not. Mm-hmm. But it's okay. We're all human beings. That's what we should focus on anyways. Biologically and in science, I mean, race is just not non-existent. There's no such thing as race. There's species, and that's it.
That's
Right?
good point.
Anyways.
Okay, so what do you think John Skipper, the ESPN president, meant when he answered yes to the question, do we hire the minority or the person who is most qualified?
Yes.
So who do you hire? Yes.
You hire yes.
I guess you hire the person that is best qualified for the position regardless of their, that's how I understand
But
it.
the problem lies in the question, because it almost feels maybe the person that made that question didn't mean to separate the two, but in a way, as a receptor of that question, when you hear that, you're like, oh, so it's either or. It's not both. Like, it, in a way, it makes you feel like you have to think minority or
Right.
do I hire the woman or the most qualified person? I mean, you almost get offended by the question itself. So to be evasive, in the answer is the best way to go. I don't know what he meant exactly, but it's a good answer.
That's right. That's good. Okay, now let's move on to counseling. Elder Ballard's talk about church councils. So do you think the word council follows the integration paradigm? You know how he talked about getting everyone's opinions, not just having the bishop delegate, but actually listening to the word council for ideas as to how to proceed with whatever problems.
I think that's the ideal situation, but I don't know if it happens all the time.
Yeah. Have any of you ever sat in a ward council?
Yep.
How did that ward council work, Zane?
The one time I sat in, it was actually really good. The bishop did a good job of listening to everyone and allowing everybody to be guided by the Spirit to come up with the best solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm the Sunday school president for the ward up here that I'm going to, and our bishop, he also does a very good job. Like, one of the things we discuss is sacrament meeting topics, like what we want people to speak on, and he's really good at asking other people in the council what we feel like the ward needs to hear, instead of him just telling us like what to tell people. Like, we're actually like all teaching each other and discussing with one another like what we feel is right. So I think our bishop does a pretty good job too.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to sit on a couple of ward councils, and I think the bishop, I mean, this talk was given in 94 or something. Yeah. I don't remember. So I think that bishops are more informed about how to take advantage of the council and listen very much to what the sisters have to say. And I remember I could never just sit there and not share something. He always made sure everybody, prompted people to come forward and express what they were feeling or seeing. Okay. So the Making Differences Matter article assumes there is some value to companies in promoting a diverse workforce. Do you agree? And what are the advantages of having a diverse workforce? What do you think? Is there disadvantages to having diversity?
The disadvantage might be the facing awkward situations about, integrating diversity, which are bound to happen. I mean, it will happen. So maybe that could be a disadvantage at first, but it can also be something like, it can also create a greater understanding because you're having those difficult conversations. It can create a greater understanding on both sides and both perspectives, just like we were talking today, just earlier on, like talking about, you know, things that matter or terms that matter or whatever it is, like just exposing your, you know, it might sound awkward at first, you know, that could be seen as a disadvantage, but the advantage is that you understand your fellow human being a little better. That creates more bonding, that creates, you know, within the team. For the business, it creates more opportunities to value everybody around you and give opportunities. And in the business overall will be better off because of the people that are part of it.
Yeah. I think there's great value in learning about other people's backgrounds and where they come from and what their thinking is and why they think that way. And I think you just have to get to know one person, and then it just helps you appreciate other people as well, you know, because then you realize that we're all different. So what approach would you take to diversity as a manager? That's kind of an obvious question. Which one of the three? The assimilation, the differentiation, or the integration?
Definitely integration.
Definitely. Celebrate our differences. All right. Well, that is the discussion for today. I'm trying to stay on time, so if you have other meetings.
Good job, Margaret.
Good job. You did very well.
Thank you. Now I have to. Did you do your write-up last week, Vanessa? Was it something?
It was I did it, and it was just a couple of paragraphs. I basically wrote a little more than that, but it wasn't too bad, you know. So you have something that you have to. Well, you have an assignment, but I haven't
Yeah,
really
I have
read what you could do.
Yeah, don't worry about it because it's my assignment. But I just wondered because I thought it would be something like summarizing the meeting or our opinions, but it's actually something different.
No,
So.
something else. It's just like an exercise of whatever.
Perfect.
Does anybody know how to get a quick hold of brother Boney? Is it Boney or Booney?
Bonnie.
Bonnie. Because I just noticed there's like a notification here, and on my assessment, weekly self-assessment on lesson 1, he gave me an F. I'm like, what?
I'm actually writing him an email right now. Well, I mean, a little bit before the meeting started, because I have 3 assignments that have Fs on it that I know I submitted. So.
And that's exactly what. And I went back.
No.
I went back to just now, and I noticed that I got 100% on that self-assessment. And I'm like,
Well,
so because he always says that text is faster, but I don't see where his phone number is. I thought it was in the syllabus, but it's not.
Yeah, it's on there. I can
It
find it
is?
if you need me to.
Okay.
Well, anyways, we can keep chatting on Hangouts about that.
Okay, so everybody, I will send a text on the Hangout about everybody's assignment for the doohickeys. And I would suggest start working on that so that Melanie, when she's in charge next week, she doesn't have to be putting the paper together late in the week. So I would hate that.
Yeah, let's shoot for. I mean, we'll get together.
Should we give ourselves a deadline as to when to have the stuff submitted to Melanie?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's get together on Tuesday again, but let's kind of keep in mind, like, let's try to have everything finished by like Wednesday of next week, like Wednesday evening. So then that gives me like the next 3 days to kind of work on it and ask you guys more questions or, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to say I really enjoy you guys as a group. I really do. Everybody's so active in their opinions, and And this is a great group, and I've worked in some really crappy groups and some really great ones, and you guys are among the great ones. I just wanted to let you know.
Ditto for that. I've got a group right now that my other class is not working out so well. Anyway,
Oh, no.
thanks everybody for coming to the meeting, and we're glad you could join us this week, Melanie.
Thank you.
I'm glad that I was able to be here. I probably would have skipped out if I hadn't been leading the discussion with my 2-year-old.
I hope your son heals well.
Yeah,
They're
good
back.
luck.
Fine. All right. Thank you guys.
Okay, thanks everyone. Good night.
Have a good night.